So after a lot of trial and error, we finally finished our RV workstation. So one of the cool things about this plywood is you can buy this veneer stripping that can match the color of your wood. You just iron this veneer right onto the side of the plywood, and it makes it look like a single board rather than all these little layers that plywood usually has on there. You just first gotta sand down the edging here, then you put your veneer with the iron. It just heats up the glue. It's heat activated glue on the back of the veneer, and just attaches right on there, and you just use a straight edge like a razor or a box cutter, and you just cut right down the side, and makes a pretty nice finish. Ta-da! So you kind of missed a couple steps here, but we've already went through and sanded all this wood for our workstation. Then we came through and we put our stain on. And then this is after the first layer of finish. So after we put our first layer of finish on, we'll let it dry for a few hours. Then we have to come through with 220 grit sandpaper and kind of clean it up a little bit. Then we have to put on our last layer of finish, which hopefully we can do tomorrow if the weather behaves. We're doing this in February. Can you believe that? It's pretty crazy. So here's the finished wood part of the project. We obviously missed a couple steps to show everyone, but we have our foldable bench covers here. We have some fold-up tables. I'll show you here in a bit. I had to first build the frame. I didn't get that on any of the video, but built the frame out of a lot of cheap 2x4s. I think they were like $3 each or something like that, and we ended up getting 10 of them, I think, in order to build this frame. Some of the 2x4s also went into the outside frame that had to look a little bit nicer, that we sanded, pre-stained, stained, and then finished before we put it all together out here. And we also put this vinyl in front of here to save a little weight. Instead of putting a plywood or any other wood sort of fronting to this, to save a little bit of weight, we just went through here and added vinyl and used these little upholstery tacks to attach them to the front of the frame. Because you know, in the RV world you want to save as much weight as you can, and it serves its purpose to just hide everything that's behind there. Part of the problem with the original design in here, they had a couch that expanded the entire length of the slide, and literally to this edge here, where my foot is, that's where the couch was. So it felt like there was absolutely no room in here with the slide all the way in, and you can see it's a good 3-foot slide, so that takes up a lot of the RV room. So in order to kind of expand that out a couple feet here, we ended up putting this bench in and also a workstation, so we add both seating and also a little bit of table space. We decided we originally were going to have this wood kind of closer to the edge here, but then after sitting in there a little bit, we realized it's kind of hard to move your legs in and out of there. So we moved this over this side so we can slide our feet in and out. But you can see there in the back, there's no room to actually tuck this once this folds up into the side there, kind of like over here. I don't know if you can see this in the lighting, but we had planned on moving this wood and tuck it underneath that little cavity in there. But since we moved this over, now that board over there is in the way. So we had to kind of improvise. We actually, after I had already sanded and finished all of this, I cut it in half, and then we put this little hinge in between there. And Jerry rigged a little bolt in here to hold it steady. That way this doesn't collapse once you have that out there. For an RV that has little to no counter space in it, we thought this was a great idea just to expand it, because you can see here the previous owners did add this on here to cover up the stovetop and add a little bit more cutting space there for a cutting board. And there's this little flimsy sink cover here, but we really thought we needed a little bit more counter space in order to prepare food and just to be able to set stuff off to the side when we're not using it. Another detail we put in here is that we put this little piece of foam or padding in there, so when we're going down the road, this isn't bouncing up against this slide wall. It's another thing, we kind of put this whole thing in here in a way that we can take it all out in case we do want to end up reselling this. We don't have a whole bunch of extra screw holes in this slide. We can just kind of take this unit all out, maybe disassemble it first. In case you're wondering, we ended up just getting one 4x8 piece of plywood, and that was enough to do both of these bench seats, the trim going around the bench seats, and also these tables are also the 3x4 plywood. So we just needed one sheet to do this entire project. Since we didn't want to go ahead and buy the Craig jig that would make these corners look a lot nicer, we just went ahead and put these little L brackets along for the support, and some of these straight brackets in here. We didn't want to end up buying like 4-inch screws in order to do that, so that's how we managed to get all the joints together. I guess one more thing to note here is we use these piano hinges to go across on the tables and also on the benches. I'm not sure how well they'll hold up over time, but they seem to be fairly smooth action. As long as you keep everything level when you install, it seems to pull up uniformly all the way across. So this is what it looks like after we put in our 2 foam pads. Deanna worked really hard getting all the stitches and sewing these covers to go on these pads. They're 3 inches thick, and we had to cut them down the size, and you just use any serrated kitchen knife if you want to go ahead and cut those down. I hope you enjoyed this video of our RV workstation. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down in our comment section below, and like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more like it. As always, adventure on!